Right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to the conference, SME Conference 2017. I'd like to invite all participants who are still perhaps at the foyer to please come in and take your seat. I know many of them are still out there, perhaps just chatting and looking around and still looking at, I think, at TMJ's departure from MITEC. Nonetheless, I'd like to invite everyone to please come in and take your seat and please be seated so that we can continue with our conference, the second session, Fireplace Chat, Women 4.0, the beautiful mix of business. That's the topic that we're going to cover this afternoon on the second session of the conference. And now while waiting for the start of the conference or the second session of the conference, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps now you can fill out the evaluation form which we gave you in the bag, the goodie bag that we gave you during registration. If you're not sure, if you're not aware of it, there are two forms inside your bag, one for each day of the conference. So we need you to fill up the first form for day one of the conference, and then later at the end of the day, just leave it on the table. Our team will go around to collect the evaluation form once you fill them up. So I need you to fill out those evaluation forms. Yeah. We've got one for today and then one for tomorrow, two separate forms. So we need you to fill up a form for day one of the conference. Just give us your thoughts and opinions and your feedback about these two sessions that took place today. And just leave it on the table so that later we can walk out and walk around and collect those forms. And of course, tomorrow when you come in for the second day of the conference, don't forget to bring that form as well and fill up the other form, the form for day two. And again, same procedure, just leave it on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the SME Conference 2017, of course part of SMIDEX 2017, and welcome back to the second part of the conference. But to welcome all the esteemed speakers and the panelists, and moderator will take charge of the session in a short while. So I'd like to invite everyone, all the participants, to please be seated. And perhaps for those of you who are sitting at the back there, can I get all of you to move to the front, please? I see lots of empty seats in front, and you all are sitting at the back. Can you all please move forward to the front? Just fill up those empty seats in front if you don't mind. And then we can start the second session of our conference. Now, ladies and gentlemen, another quick reminder. I would like to reiterate what I've mentioned earlier on today in the morning, is that this is the last session for today, day one of the conference. As if you look into the program book, we have a third session, which is heart-to-heart talk by Mr. Hans-Peter Russell, CEO of Lazada Malaysia. But his session has been shifted to day 2, to tomorrow, taking over the slot for Muhammad Azizul Hasni Awam, because unfortunately Muhammad Azizul Hasni can't make it to this conference, so we fill up his slot with talk from Mr. Hans-Peter Russell. So that means this is the final session for the day. And I think the moderator have a bit of a time to go on for this second session, because I know we're starting a bit late than planned, than scheduled. So right, ladies and gentlemen, just before we begin, can we give a big round of applause to all of you who are here today for the SME Conference 2017, and we hope you've enjoyed your lunch and the luncheon talk by His Royal Highness Tengku Ismail Ibn Sultan Ibrahim, the Crown Prince of Johor. And I hope you got some pointers and tips from his thoughts and ideas, staying on top of your game. Now let's continue. This session is a fireplace chat. Women 4.0, the beautiful mix of business. So I would like to invite the panelists to take their place on stage. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Yasmin Mahmud, Chief Executive Officer, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MITEC. Mr. Fazza Anwar and Ms. Vivi Yusof, founders of Fashion Valet. And Ms. Levina Melwani Valiram, Chief Creative Director, Flow of Valiram Group. And introducing the moderator for this session, ladies and gentlemen, she is in the business of making brands, or in other words, managing PR and communications strategies, client events, branding and digital marketing efforts with her team at PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers, all of which they do without the use of external agencies. Now, she leads the PwC Malaysia and Vietnam Marketing and Communications team. She developed PwC Malaysia's Building Trust Awards, which aims to get Malaysian business to take the lead to rebuild trust, and they are also focused on encouraging dialogue amongst a variety of stakeholder groups, including young Malaysians, through various outreach programs. She used to write a monthly column called Changing Hats in the Edge Malaysia's Edgy Pullout, a life as a career woman and a working mom. She enjoys moderating, she's in the right place, and speaking on panels, mentoring young talents, and running to de-stress. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the moderator of our second session, member of Lead Council Women with a Mission, My Win, Stephanie Counter.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me okay? Well, it's quite interesting that it's a fireside chat we have today. It's rather chilly in this room. It is. But I'm sure, you know, we've got a stellar lineup of panelists and they're going to heat things up for you. Now, I'm Stephanie Conter, and for my day job, I head marketing communications for PwC. But I'm also very privileged to be part of Women with a Mission, which is a program under My Win Academy. And My Win Academy was set up under the Prime Minister's Department to drive transformative innovation and empower women in entrepreneurship and leadership. And I'm really pleased to moderate today's panel entitled Women 4.0, the beautiful mix of business. Now that's certainly a very interesting topic, isn't it? And I think if we look at our panelists, we can certainly agree it's a very beautiful group of speakers today, except perhaps for Dr. Khalid. He might disagree with me.
Thank you for putting me right in the middle.
You're the thorn among the roses. Now, but what is it about women and business that mix so well together? Well, that's what we're going to spend time today discussing for the next hour and a half. But before we get into that, I know it's after lunch, and all of you might, you know, be still digesting some of that delicious food. So I just want to make sure that you're all awake. So humor me a little. I've got some slides for you. Can you see my first slide? What does it say? So we're going to play a little game, and you're going to tell me who the women are on this slide. Can anyone tell me who this one is? Is the title already there? No. Is the title there? Yes. Oh God. Okay. So I can't see the slide from here. Sorry, but it's supposed to. Yeah, that's Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook. Okay, the next one. You got to guess this one. Who is this? Anyone? No idea. This is Susan Wojcicki, CEO of YouTube, which is estimated at a value of 75 billion. Now, what about this young lady? Anyone? Lucy Peng, co-founder of Alibaba Group Holdings. That's a Yasmin knows her, yeah. And now this one. Anyone? She is Jean Liu, president of DD Chashing, which is China's answer to Uber, and they're huge in China. Now this final one, I think you all would know her. Anyone recognize her? She's Malaysian. This is Tan Hui Ling, co-founder and COO of Grab. Yeah, I think most of us know what Grab is. Well, that's it with my slides. So why did I show you these slides? Really, it's just to show you that all these women are at the forefront of leading technology companies internationally. And this shows you that women and tech can go together, right? But of course, we could do a lot more. Just to share some interesting stats, a report by PwC UK in 2017 showed that only 5% of leadership positions in the tech sector are held by women. The report also found that only 3% of females say a career in technology is their first choice. Now, the e-commerce and digital market have boomed, right, both globally and domestically. And so this means that opportunities abound. So today, we're going to cover why women are uniquely positioned to succeed in the field of e-commerce. But I know that all of you here today, whether you're male or female, you're all entrepreneurs and SMEs and business owners. So you're here to learn from the people who have been there and done that. And so I hope we'll learn some of the tips and tricks to make successful businesses in today's digital landscape. So to answer some of these questions, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists, and we'll start here with the lady on my left, Dr. Yasmin Mahmud, Chief Executive Officer of MITEC, Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation. Amongst other things, she's a board member of MyWin Academy. Now, she has had an illustrious career spanning over 30 years in the technology field, holding senior positions, including as Microsoft Malaysia's MD, before taking on her current position, where she's spearheading the nation's transformation to a digital developed economy. Next to her, Datuk Fazruddin Shah, who co-founded Fashion Valet with his wife, Datin Bibi. As its CEO, Datuk Fazza has taken the company through 3 rounds of funding from Bursa-listed MyEG, San Francisco's VC Elixir, and Japan's Zozo Town. Now, he wasn't always in the fashion line, although he looks like he could be. He studied aeronautical engineering in Imperial College. Next to him, a lady who probably needs little introduction, Datin Bibi Yusof, co-founder and chief creative officer of Fashion Valet, a fashion e-commerce company that carries Malaysian designer brands. At only 29, she's a social media icon, has been recognized as Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 2017, has won multiple awards, and to top it all off, she's a doting mom and wife. And last but not least, Ms. Lavina Mawani Valderam is Chief Creative Director of Flow, which is a clothing line for plus-size women. She's also Director of Luxury and Retail Conglomerate Valderam Group. And now I found this particular piece of information about her extra interesting. She's also a published author of a book called Part Star, Part Dust. And if you're a reader like me and you go look it up on Goodreads, which is an online reading platform, it's rated 4.03 stars. That's really good. Round of applause for our panelists. Okay, so let's get things going. And I thought what we do to set the stage is I'm just going to ask one question for each of these panelists, and perhaps you could just spend 2 or 3 minutes to share your thoughts. So why are women entrepreneurs uniquely positioned to influence the future of e-commerce? And why do their perspectives matter? Could I start with you, Dr. Yasmin?
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. And it's a pleasure for me to be here as both the CEO of MITEC as well as a board member of MyWin. So I'm going to just say a few points. And the challenge today is to speak in just 2 or 3 minutes, right, Stephanie? So first of all, I just want to make the point that e-commerce is the commerce. People are talking about there's no more going to be e-commerce because commerce will become e. So it's either you are doing purely e-commerce or purely online business, or if you're not, you're doing a traditional business, then you must have some level of online and e-commerce embedded. And people also talking about the future is about the convergence of offline and online, or O2O, as the acronym says. So that's the first point. The second point is that because you have this, what e-commerce does is really gives the power to have a direct interaction with the consumers. And because women represents the big consumer decision making, you know, the purchasing power of women directly as also indirectly as an influencer is tremendous. So in the past, that there is not that direct interaction because, you know, it has to go through multiple levels, you know, through the merchandising and through the logistic and distribution. But now, through marketplaces and through e-commerce, through online web store, the level of direct interaction is going to make women uniquely in the position because we know us. We know what we like to buy. We know how we like to buy. And that is why e-commerce really is primed to make women to be better and to be greater entrepreneurs. And the last point I want to make is that the added benefit of e-commerce, and you know, Vivi, I think, can attest to this, because I think you started online, correct? And then you went into offline. So you are the epitome of online and offline together. But you know, we have a lot of women out there who started online. So it is like, you know, natively online as an entrepreneur. And what I found that has really contributed to their success is the flexibility. Because if you have your own store, you know, through the traditional retail business, you have to jaga kedai. You know, and jaga kedai has its own, you know, have fixed, you have to open from what time to what time. Whereas in an e-commerce space, it's really up to you how much you want to grow and to what extent you want your business to be, because the flexibility is there. You can even do it, and a lot of our women right now are doing it from home so that they can find they can find the level of balance between running their business as well as taking care of their families.
Perfect. Very well said, and in the time limit, give it to you. Would you like to speak, Dr. Fadzil?
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me here. I personally think that, you know, especially for our business, when we started it 7 years ago, we wanted to have an online store which was serving women. So, of course, women was at the very core of the business. It was our customers, and at the same time, the designers that we were supporting, most of them were women as well. And I realized that over the last 7 years where we built the business, you know, social media has played a huge role in growing the business, you know, particularly stemming from Vivi's blog and then creating the communities around which Fashion Valley was built on. You know, I think women, they just have this ability to resonate a lot better with the community. They can sympathize and empathize a lot better with other women and other customers out there. I think for men, you know, we always have this argument in our management meetings where the guys will always say, it doesn't make sense why people will pay this much for this product. You know, like you have to go and check at like 3 different places before you can buy an item. And then the girls will say, no, if I see it on someone I like and she looks really good, I'm gonna buy it. You know, so I think even when Vivi and I work together, we find that the reason why it's been working is because we're a good balance of emotion and logic. Right? Yep. If you apply logic to every buying decision, it just doesn't work. Because there are so many more factors to influence a person's buying decision. It doesn't just include the logic decisions such as price, whether they can afford it, the time to deliver. It also depends on your desire for that item. You know, what attracts you to that item, who's been influencing you, or who's been influencing that brand so that you want to buy that item. And I think this is the place where women, I feel, have an advantage over men because they can sympathize a lot more with the women and they can build that desire in consumers to want that particular item.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, that what you talked about just now is what we call the power of social influence. Mm-hmm. And we see that how, you know, if the next it girl is wearing that, I want it as well, right? Yeah. Dati Bibi, what do you think?
Hi, thank you guys for being here. He spoke about the partnership, the marriage of emotional and logic. So clearly I'm the emotional one. As women, even the study found that 58% of online shoppers are women. And even more so, 85% of purchasing decision is from women. I mean, so who's the real boss here? Okay, I'm joking. I'm joking. I honestly believe that women have this kind of sensitivity, and Faz is absolutely right. The emotions, like we know how to speak to the emotions of another consumer, and I think that's why women has this gift of knowing how to sell, knowing how to write stories, make great campaigns that really touch people's hearts and souls. But having said that, I don't think women can do it alone. Like for me and Fazza, well, for me especially, I'm not a tech person. I know how to market, I know how to do storylines, but I'm not good at tech. And I'm not going to go around saying, yes, I'm a tech woman, you know, that kind of thing. I think women also need to know their flaws and what they're good at, what they're not good at. So where I find my lack of skills, I am not ashamed to ask help from another person. So I don't think it's like, oh, women, we also have to grow in tandem with the rest.
Thanks. And over to you, Lavina.
I can't see you.
Oh, hi.
So I think women can do most things better than men. And I don't see e-commerce being any different from anything else we do. Don't you think, girls? Well, I think it's, jokes aside, okay? Don't tell my husband I said that. Jokes aside, I always find when we discuss, gender or the role of women, it just becomes very, can women do this as well as men, or can women do it better, or why are women more suited? I find the whole, and not to knock the whole thing out, so forgive me, moderator, but I think I would be more comfortable saying that women can do it as well as men can, if anything. Whether they can do it better or not, I think is just a very messy generalization. But I do think, like my fellow panelists have said, we definitely have unique qualities that can contribute and bring a new spin to the whole e-commerce. For example, I don't see a lot of men who will sit and obsess on Instagram. I do it. If I can't sleep at night, I open Instagram and I'm looking at what everyone else. I'm on Facebook. I'm seeing what's happening. I'm seeing what people are posting. And I think women they long for connection. They long for this sense of being in touch with what's going on. Men are a little bit more in their own heads. So I think we're a great tool for e-commerce because we inherently enjoy the whole process of e-commerce. We love Instagram. We get our trends from Instagram. I know Viv will be one to learn from on that. In fact, some of our business is on Viv's platform as well. So I think we have example right here of course, the couple of a successful company. But again, I would feel more comfortable saying that we are as able as men, assuming that the abilities are different.
Well, thank you, panelists, for setting the stage. And now I don't want to, make this all about women only. I think we have so much to talk about today. So maybe we'll just change tacks a bit. Dato, I have to congratulate you on launching the Digital Free Trade Zone just 2 weeks ago with the participation of over 1,900 SMEs. Wow. So tell us, how do MDEC and the Malaysian government plan to market Malaysia as a regional hub for e-commerce logistics and the preferred gateway of choice for global brands and marketplaces into ASEAN?
Okay, so this is a tough question, simply because I can speak about it for 3 hours. I'm trying to say what do I need to say, what can I say in 2 or 3 minutes, right? So Digital Free Trade Zone is a very important initiative, and it's all about redefining global trade. As I mentioned earlier, e-commerce will be the commerce of the future. And the vision for Digital Free Trade Zone is to be able to create small businesses, SMEs, who what we call natively global. And how do we do this? Is to make sure that through e-commerce, we are able to make cross-border trade so seamless. So it's got two components to it. One is the fact that you must go e-commerce first. You must go to marketplaces, and it's a journey really. For any of you who are not sure where to start, I just want to do a plug-in a little bit about this initiative that is being done under the National E-commerce Initiative together with SME Corp as well as MDEC. It's called Go E-commerce. If you have not heard about it, go to the website, look for the Go E-commerce, where it will give you a whole step-by-step on how to get to on how to go e-commerce from the digital commerce, digital presence, using Facebook, social media marketing, Instagram, and so on. And doing it the right way, by the way. Just because you have a Facebook page doesn't mean that you're fully optimizing the Facebook marketing tools. So go in there and really learn that first, and then go into marketplaces, creating your own website. And again, just because you have a website doesn't mean that it's optimized. You have to make sure, how do you make your website to be really good? And lastly is go to Digital Free Trade Zone. So the vision for Digital Free Trade Zone is really about making it so similar, so as a small business, for you to go cross-border is not very easy right now, because globalization has been dominated in the past by the big multinationals. Because doing foreign exchange is not easy. Understanding customs clearance from multiple countries is not easy. So the idea of Digital Free Trade Zone is to create a platform, what I call the Uberization of trade facilitation. So you go to a marketplace, you sell your product, and then on the platform as well, you can start going in and to look into how do you do foreign exchange, how do you go and look at the forwarding agent, how do you go and look at even microfinancing later on, all through that platform. So you should only focus on the creativity aspect, and the whole logistic component would then be addressed by this digitized platform for cross-border. Right? So we've had, since we launched it, or it went live just a few weeks ago, and then it was done live together with the Prime Minister and Jack Ma. Alibaba is the catalytic partner, by the way. They are the first mover, and of course we are so grateful to have such an e-commerce giant. I mean, you heard about their last 11/11 day, $25 billion in one day. Can you imagine? So they are coming in as a very strategic partner. We are working with them hand in hand. They're going to set up their e-commerce logistic hub in Malaysia out of KL Aeropolis. They have worked with the 1,900, what's the latest number? I think 1972 or now, I think close to 2,000 of the SMEs are being literally handheld by the DFTZ SME onboarding team, which is actually led by SME Corp with MATRADE, MITEC, and as well as MDEC, for us to take them through and really identify how do they double their business, minimally double their business. And we've had, in just the 2 weeks, we've had some great success from people who I can't remember all of them, but I remember the one that struck me was this coconut maker from this company from Sabah that managed to secure for the first time through this digital free trade zone platform and through Alibaba, selling coconut water to Poland. Not even to China, by the way, to Poland. And this is it's about $20,000 US as a first batch, which is not bad, from nothing to 20,000. We had another company from Selangor this time around selling bird's nest, and bird's nest he was already exporting to China in the past. But just after 2 weeks on the DFTZ platform, his business grew by 5 times. 5 times, and that's because we had really, in Alibaba right now, they're creating a special Malaysian pavilion, so that you can go B to B to C. So I think this is what we want to do. Out of the 1,900, close to 2,000 SMEs, we want to see and follow their success and handhold them so that we can chronicle, we can actually document what they have done right and put it into a playbook so that we can, with confidence, go to the small business and say, okay, here's what you need to do to be able to drive success. And whether or not you are successful, it really boils. I mean, the government can do only can do as much. The rest will still reside with the respective SMEs.
Well, it sounds like an excellent platform, even to begin with, to help facilitate cross-border growth for our SMEs. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot more questions for you when I open up to the floor later. But speaking of, going cross-border and growing in general, Dato' Fadzai, you have done several rounds of funding. What's some tips, for entrepreneurs to create a successful strategy in order to secure funding?
I think, if you look at the funds that are available in the world now, almost a lot of them are looking at tech, right? Because that's where they see the most scale and the most chances of success on getting a higher return. So having a digital strategy within your business, I feel, is extremely crucial if you want to go out and raise funds. And it has to be something, and when you have this digital strategy, what you're really telling investors is that I'm transcending boundaries. Because just like what you're doing, what Dato' Yasmin is doing with the DFTZ is basically saying that, I'm not just going to remain within the Malaysian market or within my local market, and I'm going to say it doesn't matter, where the consumers are, because if I'm on digital, that means I'm available everywhere around the world. So just like how a customer in Sabah can have, someone in Sabah can now have a customer in Poland, your investors are now seeing that your market is not just the walking traffic through a mall. It's now customers in the UK, in Australia. And that's the same thing that we see for ourselves, because by the products that we sell, we are selling local modest fashion. And we see that this is appealing to people all over the world. So we're not just looking at geographies anymore. We're saying, who are these personas and where are they? And if you look at the rise of modest fashion around the world, it's not just in Southeast Asia, it's also prevalent in Australia, in the UK, in France, in the Middle East. And by being an e-commerce platform and having that digital reach, it allows you to easily reach those customers and be able to, you're able to understand those customers, and those customers can also discover you. So having that digital strategy, you can go to investors and actually tell them that my target market or the potential for my business is a lot bigger. And when it comes to technology, I think one of the problems that Malaysia has is the lack of talent for engineers, right? So one of the things that we've done at Fashion Valley, rather successfully, is that we've tried to offload a lot of that technology to our vendors, because we've admitted to ourselves that if we build a platform today, tomorrow there's going to be someone who's built a better one. There's going to be another startup that comes up next year with an even more innovative technology. And if we build our own, we're going to be bogged down with legacy technologies, not in 5 years' time, but possibly in 5 months' time. Right? So being able to partner with a lot of technology players around the world is also another good strategy that people should explore, so that you're constantly on the cusp of innovation. And that's what we've been trying to do with Fashion Valley. I think you always have to know what is the vision for the business. And it's always easy to get caught up with the latest new technology, but understanding how it plays within the roadmap of your business and your business strategy moving forward, I think that's where management of the business has to be extremely clear about before you start saying, whether it's AR or VR or any other type of technology, that I want to integrate all those things into my business. If it doesn't make sense, it's okay to say it doesn't make sense, right? And it's okay to know exactly where you want to take your business and what are the technologies that you want to take on to the business so that you can get there.
So partnerships are key. Don't try and do everything yourself, I suppose, as an entrepreneur. And you also talked about the lack of, I guess, talent or the right sort of education. And so I just wanted to ask Vivi, what was it that prepared you to enter the world of online retail? Was it your education? Was it just the explosion of technology and smart devices, being in the right place at the right time? Or was it just sheer luck?
I think for me, definitely not about the technology. I think that came after. What I was more excited about was opening my eyes when I studied abroad to see what people are doing, and then coming back home after I graduated and seeing the gap in my own country, in Malaysia. So Faza and I met when we were studying in London. We also fell in love there. And when we came back, when we were in London, we really got accustomed to the online shopping culture. I bought my first pair of jeans online. And when it came the next day, I was like, what is this? It's like, Christmas or my birthday every day, So the speed, the convenience, the excitement of receiving a parcel at your door was really what I resonated with, I liked. So when I came back to Malaysia, I felt very hungry to start something on my own. I've always been quite entrepreneurial, quite brave and determined, and also stubborn. So then Fazza was driving me around from, you tell this story better, but basically from store to store. And then we were in a traffic jam, it was raining, and he was getting really frustrated at me. And he was like, man, if only there was a place where these stores could be all together in one place. And then I think that was like a eureka moment for us. We were like, oh my God, maybe we can start something like that. So it's something like ASOS, something like Net-a-Porter, but here in Malaysia. And I'm very fortunate that I am a blogger. I've been blogging for 10 years. So I slowly gained my following, not because I wanted to be famous or I wanted to have following, but purely because I loved writing, just like you, but probably not as good. But so I gained my following through that. So that's why I thought that, okay, we know all the local designers, or most of the local designers. They were very under-acknowledged then. They didn't have stores. They were doing bridal. They weren't doing ready-to-wear. And I have a platform for marketing, which is my following, my readers, who resonated with fashion. And there was a gap in the market. So we thought, you know what, this could work. So it wasn't really about technology. It was really about having the right idea at the right time. I think if we were to start now, we wouldn't, I don't know, because the competition is crazy. So having that first mover advantage, we started in 2010. We're 7 years old tomorrow. So I think we've come a long way, and it hasn't been easy. Competition is really tough. Technology advancements happen every single day. I hear about new things. And me being me, I'm like, oh my God, we got to get that. We got to get that. We got to get that technology. It's so cool. So thank God I have a partner who calms me down, be like, okay, calm down. We don't have all the money in the world to take all the technologies that you hear about. So it's been a roller coaster ride, and honestly, it's the funnest ride I've been on.
So to Vivi's point, when we started the business, for the first 3 years, we had zero tech talent, and people were calling us a tech company. And to us, we're like, yeah, well, we're just taking very unique clothes and making it available to everyone. Yeah. And I think that's how we still see tech, because tech it's crucial, and it's a channel. It's part of your infrastructure, but it doesn't have to be the thing that makes you unique. It's the application of that technology that makes you unique. Yeah. Right?
If I can just add. Yeah, tech is a vertical. That means tech is an industry all by itself. So those people that make the technology, people who now are embedding virtual reality into e-commerce, into online marketing, for instance, that is providing tech as a service and a vertical. But tech is an enabler across every single thing. And I don't know why, Vivi, you mentioned that you're not a tech person. Because you don't have to be a programmer to be a tech person, but the fact that you appreciate tech. You say, I want that, and I get excited about technology, as excited about technology as I am about handbags, and shoes, right? Yeah. And I think that is saying, somehow this is about the gender thing, I mean, for women, I'm very lucky to have taken computer science in school, right? So therefore I am natively tech, but if you are already saying, I want that, and you are passionate about technology, you are in tech. You are a tech, you appreciate tech as an enabler. You're not necessarily a techie, but you are appreciating tech. So don't say that, oh, I'm not tech. So there's like a barrier when you say, oh, it's technical, oh, therefore I'm not. You already are.
But you have to admit though, okay, so I like that one tech, and I'm like, okay, we got to do this, guys, team, come on. And then I'm like, we got to have this mobile app that does this. And then the team says, okay, here's the 1 year plan. And I'm like, what? It takes 1 year to do that? It seems so simple, right?
Reality.
It's a button.
Reality.
even changing banners.
So she is stubborn and...
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm impatient too.
It takes that to be an entrepreneur, by the way, right?
No, when we first started Fashion Ballet, and I told, okay, so we literally Googled how to build a website.
And we clicked on the first person we found.
We clicked on the first person we found. I think that was the only company in Malaysia or something. Wow. So we called them up, and then they were like, okay. And I said, okay, we want to do this. It's a multi-brand store. I have all these brands, and it's just simple je, letak gambar je. And then they're like, it's not that simple. Yeah. There's a lot of things that happen in the back end, and that frustrated me. And they said that Fashion Ballet website will take 6 months to do. And I said, oh, but there are already ready templates. Can't you just get those? And they're like, no, it doesn't work like that. Okay. So me being the stubborn, there's that gap of understanding each other. So,
but it's okay. You keep on pushing it. You know, keep on pushing the limit.
Yeah. But you see, when a tech person, a real tech person like you, says it will take 6 months, I don't know if that's true or not.
So what do you
know what I mean? Like, I want things very fast. And in this, especially e-commerce, things happen very quickly. Yes. Things change every day. So if you're not fast, you're going to drown. So that's where I feel the lack in Malaysia, the problem.
Has it improved now, you think? I think it was 2010. It should have improved by now.
For sure.
Because the whole ecosystem has become more mature. So now you can actually go to one party who will be able to create your website for you, will be able to manage
maybe 3 months.
Still not fast enough for Bibi. Okay?
But you know, keep on pushing the boundary because it's people like you who is pushing. You know, the tech as a vertical, they are serving the people who are in the horizontal, right? So the more you push the boundary, the more they will be improving.
Yeah, but I think that's a very good point you brought up. A lot of, I guess, entrepreneurs who may be in a bit more of a traditional business are kind of scared, right, of these digital advancements because they're not tech people. But it's really about a mindset, isn't it? As Dr. Yasmin, you've explained. It's about knowing that technology is just an enabler, it's a platform. And there are people out there who are ready to provide the technology to you. And so now I just want to turn to Lavina, who's also got, a clothing label, a Flow. And I was just wondering, for you, why do you think an online retail presence works for a brand like yours?
Well, when we started Flow, we opened our first store in Surat KLCC. And I started rather haphazardly. I decided you don't get plus-size clothes in Malaysia. Why should bigger women dress in something that looks like a house coat? Why can't we offer them fashion? Why can't we make a cool place and not somewhere that makes you feel even bigger as soon as you enter because it's dark and dowdy? So we came up with the whole concept and we created a physical retail store. Somewhere 3 years down the line, everybody had a website. And so my team looked at me and said, Mrs. Valiram, how? We need to be online. I said, what for you want to be online? We already have a shop. Whoever wants to buy can come and buy from the shop. They said, no, it doesn't work like that. There's places we can't reach. I'm like where? And then they named all the states in Malaysia itself. And I was like, okay, so this is a problem. So we went to our first company to outsource this job of building a website, just like you, Vivi. And we paid a lot of money. And we're like, okay, it has to work like this. 3 seconds, everything has to load. And then we want banners coming out and everything. And then we paid all the money, and we waited something like 9 months. And we were like celebrated in the office, we've gone live. And then about a week later, I tried to just see, oh, how does my site look today? And it wouldn't load. And I said, guys, I think there's a problem here. So, I mean, it was challenging, but the decision to go online, I think as a traditional retailer, I could liken it to just, you need to, and speak, the brand is called Flow, but you need to go with the flow. We cannot deny the existence and the relevance of the online retail platform. And I think that as a brand, you need to have a presence on social media, as well as an ability for your customer to find you, without having to take the trip to your store. However, I have found, after trading my brand for, I think, about 4 or 5 years, 4 years now, I think, online, that in my experience, and this could be different for other companies, in my experience, the online sales or online volumes or online catchment is good, but nothing beats an in-store experience. And the customers love coming to the store. They love talking to the sales guy. They love finding out what is new with someone showing them what they may like versus just clicking on a computer. And so the decision to go online, I think, was more a case of I felt I had to do it. I felt I need to evolve with the retail landscape, and so I did. And in fact, after some time, I got even smarter. I paid less attention to my website, and I put my clothes on Vivi's website. Because she's doing what she does very well. And I said, why reinvent the wheel? Just give it all to her. Let her look after it for me. So Flo's on Vivi's website, by the way, and Fashion Valet, if you guys want to go shop.
Yeah.
Free advertising.
And again, that's, I guess, an example of using, a platform that's there instead of reinventing the wheel. Now, I've still got a lot of questions, but I thought perhaps the audience, might have their own questions. So if anyone, I'd like to open up to the floor. If anyone has a question, there are mics around the room. Just raise your hand, introduce yourself. Would anyone like to kick off with a question? Yes.
Hello, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My question is for Datuk Yasmin, if that's okay. Okay, so my name is Safia, and I have a e-fulfillment company. So with the FTZ coming in, and Jack Ma and Lazada, and I know that they plan on having a few hubs around Malaysia to enable them to deliver faster, and also they have their own e-fulfillment sector as well within Lazada. So my question to you, Dato', is that how do you see the future of e-fulfillment companies specifically?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know, without knowing exactly what is your e-fulfillment company about, I can, maybe.
I'm so sorry. E-fulfillment basically is a company that does the warehousing, so storage or inventory, order management, inventory management, and when an order comes in, we fulfill the order. So we do.
So what is the
packing.
E component of it? So it sounds like a normal logistic company.
Right. So the E component is that we cater not specifically, but we specialize primarily in companies who are online. We do cater to offline as well.
All right. Excellent. So this is because when it comes to DFTZ, the D component there means it's optimized for e-commerce, right? And the whole there is a lot of as the trade goes to E, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of demands to fulfill people like Vivi, who wants to do things fast and who wants to do things creatively. So the fulfillment component is going to be a very critical component that is going to redefine how this e-commerce trade will be end to end. So the big picture goal is that from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world, it will take 72 hours. That is Jack Ma's vision. And that's how we are implementing the Digital Free Trade Zone hub here in Malaysia, so that this hub can help to facilitate that cross-border fulfillment within the 72 hours. And the ambition also, or the goal also, is from anywhere in the country, no matter how big or small the country, it will be done in 24 hours. So what it means is that the end-to-end, because in the logistic you have the last mile logistic, which is what where it goes right to the consumer. Then you also have the transshipment or the cross-border component, right? So there's many pieces of it, and it is going to be a massive opportunity to look at companies who are innovating, logistic companies like yourself who are innovating. So specifically for you, you can come on board and be part of our DFTZ. You can plug in into our DFTZ e-services platform so that you can also do cross-border trade. I'm not sure if you are in cross-border right now, but you can do cross-border trade. So that's one component, level of efficiency. There is also something that I'm personally very excited about, and I know Datuk Hafsa, SME Corps, also excited about this. It's called the O2O, the convergence of online and offline. I talked about it just now. The vision is this, because you talk about it, Lavinia, the fact that, shopping is an experience, right? You still want to go, especially for your product, luxury, you spend that kind of money, you better go inside there and see how it fits in. Although you have to be careful about the fact, or be wary of the fact that there is now, when you talk about virtual reality, you can actually see the clothes on you before you actually buy. So technology will also come in to go to that level, right? But there is still that level of experience. But you want to have the experience, the best of experience plus the best of efficiency in the fulfillment. So can you imagine if you go to a place, let's say, maybe not the fashion type of, or not the too personalized and too high-end, but if you want to buy, normal T-shirts or normal shoes or even groceries or even, some simple household products, I would love to be able to come across this, say, in an MRT station or even a shopping mall. You can take a look at the product so you can see it as opposed to seeing it only on a web page or on a marketplace. You can see the product and I want to, okay, so I like it, then I click on it. The rest of it goes to an e-commerce fulfillment. So this is what you call O2O, online to offline or offline to online, right? And imagine for the area of tourism, when I go to, when tourists come to Malaysia, they love to buy our products, but then to carry lug around, is difficult. So just go and click on it. Imagine you go and click on the product. There's no shopkeeper there. There's no inventory in that place. You click on the product. All the information about the product comes onto your mobile phone. You have all the reviews, all the information about the product, where it's made, what kind of material is made. And then you can click buy, click another product to buy, and then 24 hours later, it'll be shipped to your doorstep. Now that will be an experience that I would love. So maybe Fashion Valet could do something like that.
We have some plans.
You do? Of course you do? You have that already?
Yeah, because we've already opened our stores.
Yes, I love your store, by the way.
Yeah, we have Fashion Valley in Pavilion and Bangsa Village. And I think, when we first opened the stores, it was more of trying to cater to a slightly different demographic. And because the products that we were selling were never available in the stores before that. So it was a great opportunity for us to go in and bring a different product mix into the malls. And the malls were obviously very interested in it. That's why we got into places like Pavilion. But I think, as being Fashion Valley, since we're an online first company, 80% of our sales are still made online. And we still see that a lot of customers prefer that convenience of buying it at any time and anywhere.
Yes.
But at the same time, we also sell very expensive items. Items which go up to like 1,000, 2,000 ringgit.
And
where
you
need
touch
that.
it first, right?
Yeah,
you
need that experience. And I think, when we think about using technology, we always think about how do we solve a problem using technology. And we see that one of the problems in the store is always the customers will go to the store, 20%, 10% of your products are the fast-moving products. And when they're fast-moving, you get out of stock very easily. So how do you solve that problem using your e-commerce fulfillment, right? And next year, we're going to be piloting a new experience in the store where customers can just come in and then try it on and then make the payment over the counter and receive it at their doorstep by the next day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Brilliant. That's really O2O. So I'm glad.
Yeah, and it's not just a different customer experience, but it also solves brick and mortar retailers' problems of having inventory.
Yes.
It's really frustrating when you go to shops now. You're like, oh, I like that. Do you have that in my size? And they said, oh, tak ada here, but let me check in the other stores. And then they're like, oh, we have one in KLCC. Like, would you like to wait 3 hours?
Yeah.
No, I would not like to wait 3 hours. So we realize that when we have stores and more stores now, we have to allocate our stocks to even more channels, and there will be problems of this store will sell this one item better, and then there's no replenishment because it's at the other store. You know, it becomes very complicated. We also have an online channel as well. Yeah. So Fazza's idea was to kind of
optimize the sales channels.
Group them together and become a true omni-channel platform. Everyone throws around the word omni-channel now. It's like you have an online store, you have an online store, you have a few stores, you're omni-channel. But it's not like that. Omni-channel is deeper than that. How do you merge the two channels together?
And for the lady just now, the opportunity for you is to become the person to solve that problem. You know, to really be optimized. And you focus on that. How do you become the fulfillment center for high level of efficiency, high level of customization? Because for e-commerce, it is not about the traditional punya fulfillment. It's not a container-based fulfillment. It's a parcel-based fulfillment, right? And then you have to make sure that it's one parcel contains 3 different products. And do you accept returns, by the way, through your, you do. Okay, and you have to accept, I don't know what your rate of return is, but the average rate of return is 25%. So if you don't have that logistic, that fulfillment component to cater for that customization and that return, then you're not going to be, you're not going to make it. So if you can prime your company to be positioned for this omni-channel or O2O kind of fulfillment, I think that would be a big opportunity.
And do we have enough of these e-fulfillment hubs in Malaysia, or is that still?
Currently, the model is that the KL Aeropolis is the main hub because it is, like I said, we want to capture also the transshipment component. So transshipment is when products come, let's say from Australia, honey from New Zealand comes into Malaysia in bulk, and then from there it gets shipped to in small parcels to all over the region. So that is what we are doing with Alibaba. But in terms of the fulfillment hubs, for the local market to collect and to deliver to the local market, I think we do have enough players right now, and the player come in the form of Post Malaysia, like the big guns. You also have what we call the crowdsourced platforms right now, like Zepto, like Lorry.com and all that. So I think it has improved a lot over the last couple of years, I must say. Would you agree, for the last couple of years? But still a lot of opportunity for improvement.
Yeah, I actually do think that, if you're in the business of last mile logistics, you're probably one of the top beneficiaries of the growth of e-commerce, because, e-commerce is just the frontage for logistics, right? So I find that within the last mile delivery, people like Post Laju are the biggest ones, but they're still in the large B2B parcel business, right? And that's where they make most of the money. And when you do an e-commerce fulfillment, we know this because we tried investing into a last mile fulfillment provider. It's extremely difficult because you want to deliver an item to the customer wants to receive it in her hands. And she's not at home, so she says, send it to my office the next day. And she's not at her office because she's in a meeting in another building. So she says, send it to me there, right? So and it gets more and more complicated. You having to retry so many times. And customers are expecting you to give them, rock bottom prices. If you're serving people like Lazada or Fashion Valley, where we have like thousands of parcels, you need to give extremely low prices. So the economics of trying to provide that excellent customer experience to the buyer, while maintaining the business between you and the client, is an extremely difficult thing to balance.
Wow. And I mean, as someone who has shopped online, I can totally identify with that. Wanting the parcel at the right time and the right place.
Do you change your addresses 3 times?
No. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Now's your chance.
Hello. Okay. So my name is Aisha. I'm from Platform Ventures, and my question is that what is the difference between ASEAN free trade zone and also the FTZ? So is it going to be is it only because are the DFTZ going to implement zero tariff like ASEAN Free Trade Zone? And yeah, and then for Vivi and also Fadza, so there's a lot of complaints that there's always like not enough stocks, and then like how so because is it because you are premium products, and then you is it a strategy to always maintain a volume maybe per month? Yeah. So okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll take the first question?
Yeah.
Okay, so they are totally independent but related. So, you know, like ASEAN, the ASEAN Free Trade Zone is basically a multilateral kind of agreement, you know, and it's about, you know, it's about all the tariffs, redefinition, even the existing the free trade zone, you know, without the D, the current free trade zone has got its sets of benefits, you know, of tax and so on. So the digital free trade zone does not create any new tariffs, any new incentives. It rides on whatever that has existingly happened. De minimis, you know, exemption of import duties that applies to existing free trade zone or free commercial zones remains the same. Now, the only difference that digital free trade zone comes in is in terms of creating that efficiency towards, through a digital platform. You know, creating what I call, like I mentioned, the Uberization or the digitization of trade facilitation. That's the one component of the D. The other component is it is optimized end-to-end for e-commerce. Right? So the rest of it, the other policies that governs trade in the traditional sense will still stay. But you know, having said that, you know, even for something as simple as bringing in efficiency, you know that under the digital free trade zone, it is the first time that Malaysia will have a commitment of an end-to-end cargo clearance for cross-border of 3 hours and with an SLA of 90% of the time. And this will make it, this will make us at par with the best of breed in the region, with Singapore, Hong Kong. And it wasn't easy. To implement the digital free trade zone, it takes 26 different agencies. And the person who champions this, who actually comes in to make decisions about a policy that cuts across multi-division is our own Prime Minister. I've seen him actually sit in meetings to make some very simple decisions. Like, for instance, in KLIA, you have got, you know, from the plane to the cargo terminal, there is a path of 11 kilometers. And that takes time, you know, for the trolleys to actually go, you know, to make that route. So he made a decision to say that, okay, you can take a shortcut that cuts across the VIP terminal, and you know nobody dare make that decision until he came in and said, do it. He also made the decision about, you know, okay, we now, instead of now our airports, unlike other airports, in the, you know, do not allow trucks to go direct to the plane to pick up the goods. So, but you know, through DFTZ, the policy was made to say, okay, we will allow trucks. Of course, subject to all the safety standards, you know, which can easily be done because other airports have done it. So you see, so even to say, you know, do not underestimate. We talk a lot about the bilateral, the multilateral kind of free trade agreements, you know. But the problem is now, MITEC and the government spends so much time trying to negotiate favorable terms for free trade. However, when it comes to implementation, if it's too complex to be enjoyed by the small businesses, then you'll create a divide. So with the digital free trade zone, the idea is that when MITEC and MIDA go and, you know, I mean MITEC go and negotiate free trade agreements and favorable trade terms, then the small businesses can then fully optimize it because our vision is to make it as simple as possible for them to do it via a digitized platform.
Okay, so I'll take the second question. Did you say why are things always sold out? Yes? What did you want to buy? I'll get restocks for you. No, I think we position ourselves as a more mid to high, semi-premium platform for local designers. So when we work with local designers, it's a lot of smaller companies, and they don't go deep into inventory. We don't buy 1,000 pieces of like one product. I think the death of any retail company is when you're stuck with inventory. So we do avoid that. So trust me, I would love to sell more of what's sold out, but I think it's also the capability and knowing knowing when not to overbuy. So I think that's when we have sold out items. But because we have the data, then for the next batch, we do similar designs. We probably don't restock, because then by the time you restock, it's already 2 months. You've already lost the momentum. You are already looking at another top to buy. You know, so we avoid restocks. Even Zara, they don't restock, but they do new production in similar styles that work. So I think that's why. And I think it's not a purposely on purpose marketing campaign. It just happened that way.
But with the data you have, would you not know when something is low before it reaches out of stock, so you can?
We do get notifications when things are like 1 left or 5 left, and but because again my challenge is when I work with a lot of local brands, they don't have it, So in a way, Fashion Valley is also forced to either buy outright or make in-house labels of our own where we can control the quantities.
Okay. Well, I wanted to hear from Navina over there. You're with Valorem Group, and you've got 200 brands under your stable? Wow. If I'm not mistaken.
Give or take a few.
How does Valorem keep up, with the ever-changing digital landscape to promote these internationally renowned brands across the Southeast Asian market?
So as a group, what we do is we are operators. We distribute brands. We represent them in this part of the world. And what our speciality is to be able to acquire prominent real estate, to be able to identify where the markets for certain products will be, and to be able to guarantee visibility, and then open and operate profitably. So it's a very, in fact, coming to this, it's a very e-com kind of, digital kind of forum. So it's an interesting question for a company that is primarily bricks and mortar. And I think for us, the goal has always been to stay connected to the customer, whatever means that may be. So it could be making you fill out your email and your phone number when you come into our store after you make a purchase. Or it could be you liking our Facebook page. Or it could be you following us on Instagram. So there's a lot of ways to stay connected. And like I said earlier, now is a time where I think traditional companies must be very careful how they view the whole e-landscape, because like it or not, it's here to stay. And I think we've always been very clear, and a lot of the partners of the company have reiterated in similar forums as this, that for us as retailers, it is our firm conviction that bricks and mortar retail is our primary source of business and will remain to be. But having said that, we never lose sight of the fact that, when for example, I'm now sourcing and about to sign the dotted line with a new brand that Southeast Asia, nobody's ever heard of it. And so when I invest a couple of million ringgit and put up a store in a mall, and one of you walk past it, the first thing you'll do when you look up and say, this looks interesting, you'll go and check on Instagram. How many followers? What is this product? How often do they post? How many likes? Then you go check the reviews. So even if you're tempted to buy, the first touch point to decide whether to purchase is either you recognize it or you go look it up on the internet. So there's no running away from it. And we ourselves, before we sign up or we consider, of course, a lot of the brands we work with are renowned and well-known, but now is a time where there are new players popping up all the time. And initially we started with just luxury, and now we're doing everything from right up there, from Giuseppe Zanotti right to Charles & Keith, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, you name it, the whole spectrum. And so we know that there's a level even beyond that and below that we want to touch. So I think we have a whole department that handles just digital marketing. We have a whole team. We have a whole ERP system that we've set up. My warehouse, which I operate, moves something like 1 million units a month, just in and out of stock. This is just for Malaysia. It's out of Subang, and we're still working out of Excel sheets.
So there's an opportunity there.
And so we've been ready. No, we've been ready and armed to automate for the longest time. But of course, we've been assessing different products and what works. So we do have a computer system in place. It's not like we're techless, but we know the way forward is to fully automate. Get something like Manhattan on board. Make sure from end to end the whole system works well. So there is an investment involved, a financial investment, which we continue to make. We are rolling out our warehouse management system. We've already signed the deal, and maybe, like she said, it takes 9 months, 10 months. So hopefully in 10 months we'll be way more automated. But it's a process. So I think that the digital part of business touches us in very different ways from just e-com. For us, it's a whole spectrum of things. It's how we track inventory. It's how we distribute product. It's where in the warehouse do we keep the shoes versus the lotions. So it's a huge plethora of things to consider, and I think tech touches us in every single aspect. But the biggest, I think, would be marketing, because more and more funds our budgets are skewed towards digital marketing versus putting an ad in the magazine and then just being done with it. So I worry about that aspect, because I see that more and more digital advertising is the way forward. So again, in every department, we're touched by tech, and we continue to go with the flow, so to speak.
Can I ask a question, Stephanie? So this is interesting because we've always been talking about the tech in the customer-facing component, marketing, and I'm happy to hear that. But to hear that you have put a lot of focus around that, and because it's not just about creating a website,
Correct.
It's about creating a digital presence and so on.
Correct.
But from the back-end perspective, you talked about you have to implement a system, and because you're already very big, therefore it's more difficult. Whatever system that you decide is going to be the risk of failure and the cost of any failure is going to be significant. Therefore, you got to be careful. But I want to ask, Fashion Valet, is your back end seamlessly automated as well? Like your warehousing, your inventory management, is it already automated?
Do you want the truth or what we tell people?
The truth, of
Everyone's
course.
telling the truth today.
Nothing goes out of these four walls.
I can tell you that there is a lot of automation, but we're in the process of having, because we built the company from scratch. So we've introduced a few different systems. So the systems are in silos. So we connect them manually, but we're in the process of integrating it. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with having different systems in silos as long as you can integrate them. And you find we introduce new technology to solve problems, right? When we found that we were picking items from a small, 1,000 square foot warehouse. It's easy. Everybody memorizes where the different brands and the different products are. But then when you start warehousing out of a 60,000 square foot warehouse, people don't know where things are. If you expect them to look through it, one item takes you maybe half an hour. So we've started introducing that system, a proper warehousing system. So one of the problems that we actually found when we were assessing different vendors, especially for warehouse management, is that we actually found that quite a lot of them were also very stuck down by legacy systems. So we were expecting something a lot more advanced from them, going into the e-commerce age. But they were still in the mode of like to give you an example, we tag all our items with UIDs. So the same jacket, you know, if I have 5 items of them, they're all, they have 5 different IDs.
Yep.
But when we went to ERP systems, they still go by SKUs. And we said no. And they gave us a lot of reasons why we said why we should go by SKUs. And they're all very valid reasons. But we said, look, in the future, we're moving in, I don't know why we do UID, but it's better that I can track items to the item level now. Because I think in 5-10 years' time, it's all about personalization.
Absolutely.
And people are going to want to know what is the exact item that I bought, how much I bought it for, where I bought it from. And for me as a business to be able to track that particular item to that particular customer is going to be valuable for me in the next decade.
This is so heartening for me to hear this, because can I just say the few points I wanted to make about that is that, you know, first of all, you are natively tech. So, you know, when you put things together, and you know, you don't have to create, in the tech world there's something called minimum viable product, you know. So a lot of people actually get stuck because they want to make things perfect. They want to have all the answers end to end. And before you have all the answers, technology has already moved to the next level. Then you have to wait again and again and again. So then you'll be crippled to the point of inaction. But if you're starting small like this, and I think then you can start to integrate. And if you have the right, there are techniques, by the way, for you to be able to create. It is called the API. You can use APIs. You can you know, you can stitch it all together. But so there are techniques to create an architecture. So I just want to give you that advice for it. And I think now there are a lot more of and you are cloud-based, right?
Yeah.
Are you cloud-based? Are you using cloud-based system? Okay, because all of you out there, you've got to go on cloud. Forget if somebody wants to come and sell you, especially if you're an SME and want to sell you an on-premise solution, that means create your own server and all that, you can just ask them to get out. You know, because it should be on a cloud-based solution.
You should run a masterclass on this, Dr. Yasmin. And not just to SMEs, to, you know, big corporations. I think it's a problem that everyone is grappling with. Now, does anyone else have a question from the floor? Gentleman over there.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm Razin from MDAC. But I'm not taking this opportunity to talk to my CEO. I'm addressing my question to Fazal Anwar and Vivi Yusof. Right, when you first came into to the market, you caught everyone by surprise. You know, people were first time experiencing the experience that you mentioned earlier. You know, getting, ordering stuff and getting the stuff to their house and whatnot. Right. But now we are looking at the landscape is, you know, fast moving, and being a fashion entity, there are a lot of rising fashion startups and also fashion companies. They are going to e-commerce and digital platform. Right. My question would be, with the fashion word cast in stone, it's in your name, right? How do you intend to stay relevant in the next, say, 10 years down the road, right? Because, you know, you are already, your feet is already there. You are doing fashion, right? But then there are a lot of other competitors. They are going to do just the same, right? So, hence the question, how are you going to stay relevant in the market? Thanks.
Vivi's the more competitive
having a
one,
household.
so she'll answer.
like TMJ just now, you know, I'm very competitive and I'm in it to win. I find that when we started in 2010, honestly, it was very comfortable. Sorry. We didn't have competitors. We were the first one. Media was picking up. We were like the stars at the time. And then 2012 came, boom, Zalora starts. And then Rakuten, and then whoever else comes, right? Local competitors is scary enough. Now imagine a huge conglomerate with billions of dollars like coming in and setting up shop. So honestly, we thought we were gonna close shop lah, you know. But it's been 7 years and we are still here, and we grew twice, triple every single year. And honestly, I find that it's because we knew our niche. I think if we want to do everything like the big competitors, we will die, because we don't have the funds to do it, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the resources. So knowing your niche and going really deep into that I think it's the secret of why fashion ballet is still relevant now. Having said that, obviously, competition will come. You know, any business you are, even if you sell flowers, sell cake, you open up restaurants, there'll be competition. So if you don't know how to innovate or try to collaborate with people via partnerships or try to do something exciting and using tech for maybe an expansion of your business, then obviously you're going to be irrelevant no matter what industry you're in.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
And I think, you know, when we thought about fashion, I mean, fashion isn't going to die in 10 years' time or in 50 years' time, right?
You'll still need clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your wife will still ask you for clothes.
Yeah, so it's not about staying relevant with, you know, fashion isn't going to change. So it's all about us staying relevant as a business. And I think, and the way that we think about it is we think about, you know, how customers are going to react or customers going to behave in the next 10 years. I think when you see the people like Lazada or even Alibaba come in, you can see that what they're doing is they're creating a more level playing field. And what that means is that goods and services are being commoditized, right? If now you want to sell a power bank, it's all about, you know, who has the best product for the cheapest price. And we've made the conscious decision of not wanting to go into that battle. Because once you go into the cheapest price battle, it's all about volume, and if you don't have the volume, it's a race to the bottom. So for us, it's all about staying relevant and creating that desire within consumers. Like Vivi said, finding the niche in which we excel at, and using technology as a means for our business to progress and succeed in the future. So understanding how customers are going to behave in the next 10 years and instilling that into our company right now, you know, can actually keep us on our toes for the next few years. Like, to give you an example, you know, whenever we go to these conferences, like Vivi and I are always, like, you know, one of the younger ones. So, but then a couple of weeks ago, Vivi and I actually had this discussion of, you know, do we think that we're getting old and we're not really relating to our consumers?
You have to explain the story.
Okay. So, this is a short story. So a couple of weeks ago, Vivi went to meet a couple of people from like Astro and, you know, another big company. And so they were telling her about this one influencer that they said they were like, you know, so shocked how many followers she had and she was so popular, and we've never heard of her. And she's this 18-year-old girl, and she has her own YouTube account. She has like 1 million views on her video. And so when we actually went back that night and we started watching that video, and it's a video of her showing people around her house. And we were sitting there and we were saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing this. Doesn't she think about security? You know, she's revealing everything. Who are her parents? And then we looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, are we auntie and uncle now? And so, you know, we always have to check ourselves to make sure that we ourselves are relevant, right? Because I think one of the dangers that we don't want to do, now that we're 7 years into it, is we grow with our customers, right? We want to stay relevant to that core demographic that we're trying to appeal to, which are the young millennials that are willing to spend on goods online. And so, you know, staying relevant is probably one of the main priorities that any business can do, especially in a fast-moving world like we're in today, where tech changes almost on a daily basis.
Well, don't worry, I can assure you age is a state of mind, okay, because we're all much older than you. But I'm just going to open it up to one last question from the floor before we do concluding remarks and wrap up. Let's have a really good question. Anyone?
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Fauzia. I'm from the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. I just want to get an opinion from any of the panel. For SMEs, let's say they want to go on board with digitalizations, should they have their own platform or they can leverage on any platform like Lazada, Fashion Valley and everything? Which one become the best? Whether they have their own platform or leverage on your any platforms that they can make a profit. So that's all.
Should I get, yeah, Vivi.
For me, I find that the brands that do very well on Fashion Valley are the brands that are very strong on their own as well. So I get very, sometimes when brands come to Fashion Valley, they're like, oh, we're a new brand, you know, we want to put our goods with you, and we're like, yes, okay, we'll support and all that. And we put them online and 0 sales. Because nobody has heard of them, nobody knows them. And when they go, so now we make it a point, like we ask, okay, we'll check their consistency of collections, whether or not they have their own platform, whether or not they have an Instagram account. You'd be surprised that the fashion brands don't even have Instagram accounts. So I think it's very, sorry, but a very lazy way to look at it. You want to start something and then you're going to just go to a platform and just let them do the work, you know? Because if you're going to be on that platform, you're one of 500. And they're never, platforms like Fashion Valley, as much as we would like to, we can't just highlight one brand every day, right? So I would say start your own as well, but that doesn't mean you can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Anyone else want to add?
I just want to say this. Sorry, Lavinia, you go ahead.
Please.
No, go ahead, Lavinia.
So we exist, like as I was saying, you know, we have our own website for Flow, and we're also on Fashion Valley. And we also have bricks and mortar presence in the malls. And I think when we came on board, we did quite well. And I think we're still with them. I'm not so certain whether we're currently with Fashion Valley. But I echo what Vivi says, is that, you know, there's no shortcut. You know, you have to build your brand. No matter what you're selling, even if it's, you know, I don't know, cakes or kueh or whatever, you know, you have to build your brand. You have to have a following. You have to have someone who can vouch for you. And the expectation that a platform or a successful platform will take you on without any of your own input, I think you know, you'll be waiting and waiting and it won't happen. So and it's not cheap and it's not easy to have your own platform. So I know you know, of course today it's easier than, like Vivi said, 7-8 years ago. You can go onto Shopify and build your own website, and payment gateways are available and you can start selling. The problem with being online is it's the World Wide Web, you know, it's internet, it's really outer space because there's just so much there. The biggest problem is visibility. And what a platform like possibly Fashion Valley or any other platform will give you is immediate visibility. But again, if you go on Amazon, you know, Steph mentioned I write books. There are, I think, a couple of million books on Amazon. And when I wrote my book, I became one of a few million.
Yeah.
So it's not like you go into Amazon and, yay, suddenly Lavina, you know, she's there, she's a writer. Somebody has to know me, has to know I wrote a book,
yeah,
has to have read a review somewhere, and then they're going to go on the search and type the name of my book and find me. And so I experienced the difficulties of online marketing firsthand when I decided to market my book myself. So it's not easy, but it's something worth doing before you go out into the big bad world, is to make sure that you have everything in check and that, you know, you're, like Vivi said, you're consistent, you're relevant, you're current, and people know you and know about you so that you have higher chances of succeeding.
I want to answer that not from a practitioner perspective, but from a government perspective, because, you know, getting SMEs to go onboarded onto e-commerce is a national imperative. 97% of companies in Malaysia are SMEs, but however contributing only to 36%, and we have a target to bring it up to 41%. You know, of course, MITEC SME Corp is very much driving this. But the question that SMEs always ask us is exactly what you are asking. Where do we start? You know, traditionally, it's always been very vendor driven, you know, so somebody, Lazada will come in and say, oh, do come to our marketplace. Google will come and say, oh, use our tools. And, you know, 11th Street will come in and say, oh, come to our marketplace. You know, so But how do you start? So that's what we attempted to do, because moving SMEs to go from now, 2 years ago, there was only 7% of SMEs with a digital e-commerce presence. And 2 years on, this is SME Corp's figures, yeah, 2 years on, the latest number is already at 32% of SMEs that are on digital or e-commerce presence. And our target is to go 50% by the year 2020. And that also is bare minimum. It should even be more. So to assist SMEs in answering that question, that's why I mentioned just now about that Go e-commerce, and it really details out your journey. You know, SMEs can go in there and go and register. Then the first thing you'll do is do an assessment of where you are. If you already have some digital presence, you'll do an assessment of where you are, and then it will then recommend what you should do next. But in a nutshell, you have to really, you have to do the whole thing. First is creating the basic fundamental is, are you fully optimized on your creating your digital brand, and through your digital presence? Have you optimized Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing? Are you aware of the Facebook analytics tool? And by just using this simple social media marketing, and this has been encapsulated into our program called E-Usahawan. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of E-Usahawan, right? So this one, that this is proven. We have had people who are able to multiply, because this is a curriculum that we have, a playbook that we have gone to people who have successfully done it and really document it as a step-by-step. And we've had people doing it, the small business, micro SMEs who just use e-commerce, digital, the social media marketing, and have been able to double, triple, quadruple, 10 times of their business. And then this is the first step. So the next step is then you start talking about creating your website, and looking at marketplaces. Which marketplace? There's so many of them out there. Which one do you go to? Do you go to Fashion Valley? Do you go to Zalora? If you go multiple, then how do you focus so that you get, you get visibility, your voice is being heard. So I think this is what, and by doing this Go e-commerce, we want to try to take away, it is integrated with all the other solution providers, but we are trying to make it vendor agnostic, so that you have, so that the SMEs can have like a step-by-step and a very holistic view of what your journey should be, because the journey is one that must be taken. It's not an option. It's a journey that must be taken.
Yeah. And well, on that very inspiring note, I just wanted to quickly wrap up. There were a few points that really stood out for me today. E-commerce is the commerce. Businesses today must digitize, or you have to have a digital strategy, especially if you're looking to secure funding, as most global funds today are tech-focused. Now, with women's rising purchasing power and influence in households, it makes sense for businesses not only to cater to women, but to have businesses be run by them. And then again, we know that there's nothing more powerful, as demonstrated by Vivi and Fadza today, there's nothing more powerful than when men and women can actually strike up a partnership, balance each other out in the different perspectives. You don't have to be techie in order to be a successful e-commerce entrepreneur. It's about recognizing the gap in a local market, first mover advantage, about being able to tap onto technology as a vertical or a platform. And remember that partnerships are key to success. Don't try and do everything on your own. And, I think we can all agree that having your own business, or if you're thinking about starting your own business, entrepreneurship is a journey. So I thought I'd leave you with this quote by a very wise person, not me. It goes like this: entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you could spend the rest of your life like most people can't. And with that, please give a round of applause for our fantastic panelists today.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Please remain on stage for presentation of token of appreciation. We'd like to invite Puan Cik Nazli Cik Jaafar, Chief Operating Officer of SME Corp Malaysia, to come on stage to present token of appreciations to the panelists and, of course, to the moderator as well. Of course, thank you to the panelists for sharing your thoughts and ideas. The beautiful mix of business, Women 4.0. Right, the first presentation for Datuk Yasmin Mahmud, Chief Executive Officer, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. Let's give Yang Berbahagia Datuk Yasmin Mahmud a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Next will be for both Mr. Fazza Anwar and Ms. Vivi Yusof, founders of Fashion Valley. Thank you. Round of applause for Mr. Fazza Anwar and Ms. Vivi Yusof, Fashion Valley. And next for Ms. Lavina Melwani Valiram, Chief Creative Director at Flow of Valiram Group. And next we have, of course, for the moderator, Stephanie Counter, member of Lead Council Women with a Mission My Win. Right, let's have a quick photo op, shall we? Right, thank you, photographers, and thank you, panelists. Thank you very much. And of course, Stephanie Counter, moderator for the second session. And that wraps up day one of our SME Conference 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, just another reminder, please fill up the evaluation form for the first day of the conference. And once you've done that, just leave it on the table or on your desk, and we'll come and collect it.